What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. I'm your host, Mason Kenahan, and tonight I'm coming to you right after Washington's 26-18 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday Night Football. This one hurts. I'm not gonna lie. This one hurts a little bit. Even though I've said it, and I still believe that, look, there's bigger games this season that Washington is going to play than this one. It still would have been great to win this game against Philadelphia. It would have boosted Washington's playoff chances by a wide margin. It would have put Washington back in the lead of the NFC East. Plus, it would have been another crazy win on prime time for rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels and company. But it was everything but for Washington in this one. It was disastrous. It was disastrous. It was very bad to watch. Like it was a struggle to watch this game. A game I thought would have been high scoring, ended up not being high scoring. Still was pretty close to what my final score prediction was. I predicted 28-20, and it was 26-18. So both teams just scored 2 points less than what I thought they would. But still, though, I mean, there's a lot to learn from this game. For the Washington Commanders, there's a lot to improve on. I think tonight's game showed that Washington is not part of that elite company yet in terms of elite teams in this league. I think it's a good reality check on where this team currently is, and you got to remember going into the season the expectations. And I mean, there were at low expectations for this team for a reason. Now they have overwhelmingly exceeded those expectations so far, but I mean, there are still some weaknesses within this team that many people looked at ahead of the season, and they're starting to come back and haunt this Washington team. It is Washington's second straight loss. The Commanders fall to 7-4, 3-3 on the road. Meanwhile, the Eagles go 1.5 games up, plus they have the tiebreaker, so really 2 games up against Washington. They are 8-2, 4-1 at home. Let's get right into business. Let's talk about number 5 under center, Jayden Daniels. 22 of 32, 191 yards, a touchdown, a pick, took 3 sacks, a passer rating of 81.6. I'll start with this. All right, and Jayden Daniels did not have a good game tonight, okay? And Washington fans have to accept that. Daniels did not play well. He didn't even throw for 200 yards. There were many missed opportunities. Don't even blame drops on this one. There were some drops in this game for sure. But Jayden just seemed rattled the entire night. Eagles pass rush was getting to him. Not only was there, Jayden also had 7 carries for 18 yards. He had his longest carry in this one was for only 7 yards. So once more, these defenses, they're bringing more pressure on Jayden, and it is delivering. And it's forcing him out of the pocket. He's not able to break off these long runs. Basically, defenses are game planning really well these last few weeks for Jayden Daniels, and it's starting to seem like especially these veteran defensive coordinators, are starting to figure out Jayden Daniels and like his weaknesses as a young quarterback. Again, he can improve on these weaknesses in the future, turn out to be a very great quarterback, which I still think he could be. But as of right now, he still has some weaknesses in his game, which that's okay because he's a rookie. That defensive coordinators and defenses are starting to figure out, as well as some other things with this offense we'll get into in a little bit. But Jayden himself did not look good, rattled the entire game. Just from the start, really. You had the one opening touchdown drive, but after that, it was just not great. He was getting beaten up. He was getting hit after hit. Already having that rib injury. He cut his finger open on his throwing hand, his pinky open. He cut it open. They had to super glue it back together at halftime, I think, or in the third quarter. They super glued it like with some sterile stuff back together because it was bleeding. I mean, it's crazy. The guy's beating up. I'm going to mention it so many times this podcast, but this team could not need a bye week more than right now, and they're going to be getting one for sure. And now they're going up against the Dallas team next week, which we'll get into a little bit at the end of this episode. But there's going to be a lot of opportunities in the next few weeks for Washington, a lot of easier opportunities in the last couple of weeks. So that'll be interesting to watch. But and watching how the coaching staff manages some of these star players as well. But Jayden himself really struggled, really inaccurate. By the time this episode comes out, throughout the morning, Friday morning, I'll be posting clips and stuff throughout the morning and throughout the entire day, really breaking down what I saw from Jayden and what I saw from this offense. So you can follow me on Twitter or on a new app, or Blue Sky. You can follow me there, Mason Kenahan, on both of them. So you can follow me on either of those. But back to Jayden, not great performance. Not a great performance. He had an EPA per play of exactly 0 in this one, which before kind of the final garbage time drives where he scored a touchdown and he got the 2-point conversion. In the with less than 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, he had a negative 0.25 EPA per play, which would have been his worst game by far. So if you take out that final drive, Jayden Daniels had his worst game of his career by far. So that is also something to note. I do think he's more banged up than what he has said. And what he has revealed to the media. He said, he said today, I hate losing. We all need to be better, and it starts with me taking accountability, yada, yada. Nothing really notable in the press conference from either Jayden Daniels or Dan Quinn. And yeah, it's unfortunate to see. Yeah, it is really unfortunate to see, because if you take out the yards he lost on sacks, he only threw for 171 yards, which is his lowest of his career in Washington. So, that is bad. It is bad. But let's move on to the offense. Kliff Kingsbury. Oh boy, Kliff. Okay. If you're watching the video version, it says Kliff's play calling begins to be questioned and lost, and that is true. The last few weeks for Kliff, you've seen all the stats. As soon as Kliff was hired, the Washington Commanders Twitter community knew about, oh, he's great. Weeks 1 through 7, he is amazing. After weeks 1 through 7, he totally sucks as a play caller. And he sucked as a head coach in Arizona. Always started the season off hot, weeks 1 through 7, always fell off in the second half of the year. The last couple of weeks have been pretty rough for this offense. You can, again, make the argument they put up 27 points against Pittsburgh, but 7 of those points came from when they were gifted the ball inside the red zone. So they weren't able to drive down the field, which is something Washington has definitely struggled with more recently. Being able to drive down the field when you get the ball at your own 20, at your own 30-yard line. They didn't have a single turnover this game on Jalen Hurts or any of them. So they weren't really gifted any good field position at any point, which was rough. They had to drive down the entire field every single time, and they only put up 18 points. They only put up 2 touchdowns and 2 touchdowns and a field goal, I believe, is what they put up. So it was another rough performance, by far the worst offensive performance from the Commanders so far in this one. Make the case. They're going up against a good defense, whatever. This is supposedly the best offense in the league, right? The best offense in the league going up against one of the best defenses in the league. You hope to see your offense put up more than 18 points. They're 3 for 12 on third down. No good. No bueno. 264 yards of total offense. Philadelphia had almost 2 times that at 434. There's many things in this game that really confused me. We'll start with the play calling. A lot of simple stuff. It just felt like it was all mixed up. When Kliff was supposed to be calling one thing, or when I wanted Kliff to call a run, he called a pass. And when some of these quarterback runs with Jayden up the middle, quarterback draws really confuse me sometimes. Just what the blocking is like. The offensive line did not help in this one either. All right, Andrew Wiley struggled. Coleman struggled. I don't know if Lucas played at all in this one, but I know Brandon Coleman struggled at starting left tackle. Wiley struggled. Even guys like Cosme and Biotis struggled as well. They need some rest. So the entire offensive line did not help. And there was just a bunch of missed. I mean, you guys probably watched the game. There was just so many missed blocks, especially on the edge. Jayden was getting beaten up because of it, and some of these quarterback draws just took too much time to develop. And when Philadelphia is bringing 5 or more, there's going to be a guy that's unblocked. It felt like a guy was always unblocked. Not all the time, but it felt like it. So, the offensive line didn't help. In terms of the run game, 28 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown in total for this rushing team. 16 carries for 63 and a touchdown for Brian Robinson. 7 for 18, like I mentioned, for Jayden Daniels. Only 2 carries for Austin Eckler for 7 yards, and Jerry McNichols with 3 carries for 5 yards. He got the ball towards the end of the game. In terms of the passing game, Austin Eckler was a leading scorer, 8 catches for 89 yards. Zach Gertz, 6 catches for 47 and a touchdown, and John Bates, 2 catches for 17 yards. When your 3 leading receivers are a running back and 2 tight ends, with one of those tight ends being a primary blocking tight end who's caught pretty much almost at the same amount of passes this season in just this one game. Let me check. He has 3 catches on the year going into this game, and he has 2 catches in this one. Not good. Terry McLaurin, 2 targets the entire game, 1 catch for 10 yards. We need to have a conversation about Terry. He's not the receiver that he was in 2020, 2021, 2022. All right, he is 29 years old. All right, he's on the back half of his career as a starting caliber receiver, and receiver definitely should be a primary focus in the draft this upcoming spring. So, Terry going up against Quinyon Mitchell again. Quinyon, very good corner. All right, got to give him his props. Let me find the chart. We got to give him his props because Quinyon had a hell of a game. 25 routes run, Terry McLaurin against Quinyon Mitchell. They were matched up 20 times, 80% of the time. 0 targets, 0 receptions, 0 yards. Quinyon was impressed 6 of those times. Yeah, it was very good from Quinyon Mitchell, the first round rookie out of Toledo. Loved what I saw out of him. I got to give him props. I know this is a Commanders podcast, but again, I'm a football fan. I love the NFL, and seeing a rookie like that succeed is pretty cool. So got to give the props to Quinyon. Great game from him. And then for Washington, just no one got anything going. 1 catch for Alameda Zaccheaus, 1 catch for Noah Brown, 1 catch for De'Ami Brown, 1 catch for Brian Robinson, 1 catch for Jerry McNichols, and no catches for Luke McCaffrey. Just the passing game never got going. And you hate to see it. You really do, because man, these last few weeks, there were some instances where this offense really struggled in the Pittsburgh game, and this offense really struggled in the who was before that? Bears, maybe? Was it Bears? In the Giants game. In the Bears game. 3 weeks ago, I think. This offense really struggled in the Bears game as well and went for extended periods of time without scoring. We saw that in this one. Tied for the lowest with 18 points. I just realized they scored 18 in the Bears game as well. So, these are now multiple weeks, 3 of the last 4 weeks, where I feel like this offense has struggled mightily, like accumulating long drives from one side of the field to the other. So, that's my thoughts on this offense and Kliff's play calling. I'll probably have some stats out on my Twitter talking about Kliff's play calling over this weekend, because it is not great, guys. It is not great. I'm starting to get worried. This isn't the first. This might be the first full game where I've really hated Kliff's play calling, but this isn't the first time this season where I haven't liked his play calling. So that is something to monitor if I'm a Washington fan. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, it was a pretty good game, actually. I was about to say it was a disaster, but no, it was a pretty good game for 3 quarters. This team held it together, only allowing 6 points for the Eagles through 3 quarters of action. Washington was up 10-6 after 3 quarters, and then 20 points for the Eagles in the fourth quarter, where they just got blown up. But this defense gave Washington's offense a chance. They gave them a chance to go down, multiple chances really, and extend this lead, take the life out of the stadium. But Washington's offense kept the Eagles in this game, and just the disaster of Washington's offense kept the Eagles in this game. And ultimately, it was just tumbling downhill. The James interception towards the end of the game with 5 minutes left. It was bad. Oh, one thing. Going back to the offense real quick, one thing I gotta talk about the fourth down decision from Dan Quinn. I can't believe I almost forgot about this. From Dan Quinn, the fourth down decision to go for it. It is. Let me find it. All right, 4th and 2 at the Philadelphia 26-yard line. You're down by 2 points. All right, 4th and 2. 8 minutes left in the game. You have a chance to kick a field goal to win it. No, not win it. I lied. I'm tired, guys. Not to win it. To take the lead. All right, you have a chance to take the lead. And instead of kicking it on 4th and 2, you ran the ball, or you attempted to run the ball up the middle for the 3rd play in a row. They ran halfback dive, like 2 play on 2nd and 2 or 2nd and inches, whatever it was. And then on 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 1, they ran it right up the middle, both of those times. And then on 4th down, you know what they're going to do again? They're going to do the same exact thing. And I mean, like, first of all, what are we doing there? And then just the decision overall, if you have the chance to take the lead in a football game, I always would choose to take the lead, unless, of course, it's like very at the end of the game. And I mean, there are some exceptions, but and something like this, where even if you look at the analytics, like a field goal attempt would boost your win percentage by 2. Like a win percentage by kicking a field goal, your win percentage is 44%. If you go for it, your winning percentage is 42%. So, yeah, there's that. And if you succeed on the field goal, your winning percentage boosts up to 49. And if you succeed going for it, your winning percentage boosts to 55. That's not even that major of a difference from 49 to 55. Like, that's not even that major. So, definitely a coaching issue there from Dan Quinn. The coaching decisions, he kind of dodged the question in post-game interviews. I think he knows he made a mistake there. But I mean, it would also make it so that it was 18-12. Sorry, not 18-12, 19-13, I believe, 19-13 or something like that, 18-13, with 5 minutes to go, and Jayden Daniels had the ball with a chance to win, to take the lead. Well, I know he ended up throwing a pick on the very first play of that, but still, I mean, the coaching could have been better down the stretch in this game as well. So there's that. Yeah. That's unfortunate. All right, going back to the defense now. 18 of 28 for Jalen Hurts, 221 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. He had a rushing touchdown, 10 carries for 39 yards. He only took 2 sacks. There wasn't really any pressure the entire game. The 2 sacks came from Frankie Louvu. Shout out Frankie Louvu. Great first half from him, but in the second half, they really struggled getting to Jalen Hurts and forcing Jalen Hurts out of the pocket, because that's where Hurts really struggles, is when he's out of the pocket. Moving to his left especially is where he really struggles. They really could not do that. And when you did have Frankie Louvu lining up on the edge, it got very easy to identify, hey, Frankie Louvu's lined up to the edge. Let's just run it right down the middle. That's been something I think John Kahn talked about it on his podcast with Brand Weinstein, where like when you have an off-ball linebacker like Frankie Louvu, and it gives you the ability to both have him as an off-ball linebacker, but also line him up on the line of scrimmage and have a 5-man front. It's great and all. That's great. That's wonderful. But it also leaves you kind of open to getting burnt up the middle of the field, because you only have one linebacker there, especially in the run game. And that's exactly what happened. 26 carries for Saquon Barkley. He had 16 in the first half, 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. Big game from him. Over 220 yards on the ground in total for the Eagles' rushing attack. Kenneth Gainwell was burning this defense as well. 4 carries for 43 yards. Gainwell averaged over 10 yards per carry. Damn, that's crazy. AJ Brown was kept pretty much in check for the most part. Only 5 catches for 65 yards. Again, Hurts threw for 221 yards, but he didn't even need to throw because the running attack was working so well for Philadelphia. I mentioned it, I think halfway through the game, or about 3/4 of the way through the game. I said, look, as soon as Nick Sirianni realizes he can just run the ball every single play and the Eagles will win this game is over, because it was so obvious that the run defense for Washington could not hold up against this Eagles offensive line and this Eagles rushing attack. The only reason why Washington was getting stops, especially in the red zone, was because the Eagles went pass, run, or run, pass in the red zone, or like when they were driving down the field, and it forced a punt because the passing game was not working incredibly well for Philadelphia. So or they went past and then they got sacked, or they went past and they got a penalty. Like every time they went past, there was a chance for them to make a mistake on their own, and yeah. So yeah. I'm just gonna say I'm not even gonna really talk about him. Jahan Dotson 1 catch for 8 yards on 2 targets. That's all I'm gonna say there. Goddard had 5 for 61. Saquon had 2 for 52. Pretty bad missed tackle there from Percy Butler on a 43-yard catch from Saquon Barkley. Ended up only being a field goal, I believe, on that possession, but still, it was a rough one. If Percy Butler makes that tackle, then the Eagles are punting it away. So that was a rough missed tackle there from Percy Butler. Defensively, shout out Mike Sanders. Still, he had an incredible game against AJ Brown. Did everything he could. Multiple pass breakups in this one. I'm gonna love watching that tape back tomorrow because that was an incredible game. Who else shined? Jeremy Chin had a nice hit on Dallas Goedert. Kind of sent him back 8 yards in the backfield on a flat route. I believe on like a second down or a third down, which was pretty cool to see. So Chin was kind of flying all over. Daron Payne had like a couple tackles for losses, I believe. But man, no pressure on Jalen Hurts, especially in that second half. Jeremy Chin. Okay, I'm looking at it now. 13 tackles for Jeremy Chin. Looking at his last 3 games, he's had 13 tackles in each of his last 3 games. Looking at it now. 13 tackles in each of his last 3 games. He's at, what, quick maths here, 39 tackles in 3 games for Chin. Ever since they kind of moved him more into a spot in the box, he's been all over the field, which you love to see. Now it hurts kind of your deep secondary a little bit as Percy Butler's playing a lot more. But, I mean, still, Chin has been all over the backfield, all over getting tackles for losses here and there and stuff. So, yeah, that was cool. Jordan McGee got a tackle, his first, I believe, tackle in the NFL on defense. So, shout out the rookie. Sanders still already mentioned. Benjamin St-Juste had 7 tackles. He was dealing with a cramps throughout this game, which made, what's his name, Michael Davis play a lot, which was interesting to see because pretty much from the start, Benjamin St-Juste was struggling with cramps, and Michael Davis was kind of following around AJ Brown at the beginning of this one. Scared me a little bit there, but ultimately, it didn't end up mattering. I mean, this team lost 26-18, so. And it wasn't even Benjamin St-Juste's fault or Michael Davis's fault, really. So there's more of the run defense, which definitely needs to be worked on. It's unfortunate that needs to be worked on. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, really. My final thoughts and takeaways. One thing, Zane Gonzalez knocked down his only field goal attempt. The guy is still perfect for Washington. I don't know if he's going to be kicking next week, if Austin Seibert will be healthy or not. By the time we play Dallas in 10 days, but I mean, Zane Gonzalez looks fine, so that's good to know. And as far as other things, Kliff, I'm keeping my eye on you, Kliff Kingsbury. I'm keeping my eye on you. That is for sure. Jayden just had a poor game, and I think Washington fans have to accept that. Look, there's going to be ups and downs this season. It has been mostly up so far, and the last few weeks has been pretty down. But hopefully things get back on the right track against Dallas in 10 days. I think it's a great opportunity for Washington. Dan Quinn going up against his former team, which will be pretty fun to see. And then after Dallas, we will have Tennessee. So the schedule ahead is pretty simple or pretty easy, but there's still things to do. This team needs to get so much healthier than what they've been, really struggling so far. In the last few weeks without a bye, but now since they'll have a mini bye, I think things will be pretty fine for Washington. So that'll pretty much wrap things up for this episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. Pretty somber episode, that is for sure. But that'll be it for this week's episode. Next episode will be out on Monday. It doesn't say it on the screen, but Next episode will be out on not Monday. Next Friday. Wow. So we'll have a week. All right, there'll be a week with no podcast. So next Friday will be when the next episode comes out, previewing the matchup against Dallas. That'll be a fun one. So that'll do it for this week's episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. See you guys in the next one. Peace.